say I'm just so grateful for you and you as well for obviously helping and raising an amazing husband for me, who is a great example from you guys and of course Connie to our kids. So I'm very grateful for everything you guys have done, because you created an amazing man to come into my life and help me out so much.
Steven, a lot of people knew him as Twitch. Very two different humans. He wore this character of Twitch. It did become a part of who he was, but that extroverted personality was not natural for him. When he would go out as Twitch and make sure he's spreading all this love and joy and positivity and be dancing all the time for people, and it would drain his energy. You would have to come home, really recharge his battery. Yeah. That also comes with the state of depression, because he would get really low. He showered people with love. Sometimes I wonder, when he would receive so much love, he almost didn't think he deserved that love, so he'd give it right back. That's how much he loved people. I think he would just keep draining himself so much. It was just so on this roller coaster ride. You have to hold on to half your cup to that love that you deserved for yourself. Like what you guys saw on TV, it was a huge part of him. But the other side, it would take a lot to be that.
From a heartbreaking loss to new love, Allison Holker just debuted her romance with a tech CEO. Allison Holker, the So You Think You Can Dance alum, made waves at New York Fashion Week, stepping out with tech CEO Adam Edmonds. This comes after a sweet Instagram soft launch where she held hands with her mystery man, captioned with a heart emoji. Allison even joked that Adam's been a bad influence, convincing her to eat McDonald's for the first time in 15 years. This new chapter comes nearly 2 years after the tragic loss of her husband, Stephen Twitch Boss. Allison's embracing life, love, and setting an example of hope for her kids.
A moment, I was with one of my really dear friends, and we were cleaning out the closet and picking out an outfit for him for the funeral. And it was a really triggering moment for me, because there was a lot of things I discovered in our closet that I did not know existed. And it was very alarming to me to learn that there was so much happening that I had no clue. So it was a really scary moment in my life to figure that out. But it also helped me process that he was going through so much. And he was hiding so much, and there must have been a lot of shame in that. And he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, and he was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings, because he didn't want to put it on anyone, because he loved everyone so much. He didn't want other people to take on his pain. But it was very alarming and scary to find those things and have never known.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Omomi, aka Petite Diva, and in this video we are discussing people's reaction to the book that the wife of Stephen Boss, also known as Twitch, is promoting, and the interviews that she has given lately. Now, for those of you that don't know, Stephen Boss, aka Twitch, was a dancer. He was a DJ on Ellen DeGeneres show, and he died by suicide December 2022, and now almost 2 years after, or 2 years after, his wife wrote a book and she's promoting the book. Now, some of the things that she has said has caused a lot of uproar. Now, there have been reactions from his friends, from his family, his mother, people who knew him, people who worked with him, and the internet in general. So let's check out what people have to say about book and all the interviews that she has been doing.
Somebody asked me to share my thoughts on the recent interview with Twitch's wife, and my thoughts are, she's a Karen. And that's what happens when you marry a Karen. Now, may he rest in peace, but it's not likely, because he married a Karen. And she's probably a part of the reason that he didn't want to be here anymore. Because how are you married to someone, live with them, see them every day, and not know that they were struggling with addiction until it was too late? She said she was cleaning out the closet, preparing for the funeral. And that's how she found out that her husband was struggling with addiction. I mean, at this point, I think we can all acknowledge that at the very least, his marriage wasn't great, right? And then she started commenting, responding to people who said that what she did was inappropriate. And her response was that she just wanted to spread awareness and make sure that this happens to no one else. That man passed away in 2022. You are not doing interviews to spread awareness. You're doing interviews because you're broke. Tell the truth, Karen. Karen.
Did my research on the Allison Holker situation, and I just feel like there's a lot to unpack. So she's releasing this autobiography memoir about her life, especially with her relationship with Twitch boss. And if you guys are not familiar, he passed away back in 2022 to a, you get it? Okay. Now, the problem with this autobiography is the fact that a lot of people felt like she was infringing on his privacy and basically ruining his legacy by speaking on some of his past struggles that he detailed in his journal that she found after he had passed away. Now, in those journals, he was talking about some serious stuff, from an alleged abuse when he was younger from a family member to his. She talks about how she did not know he was going through all this, and she didn't even know the extent to which he was addicted, and all that. And she only found out after he had passed away. In an interview with People magazine, she goes on to tell him that she had combed through his journals hoping to find some clarity and closure after his passing, and she had learned that he has hidden some painful secrets from even those closest to him. He was wrestling with a lot inside him and was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings because he didn't want to put it on anyone because he loved everyone so much. And this is where she talks about the abuse that he received from a family member, if you can read over here. Usually a lot of people will see this as like a grieving widow who is going through a lot, and she's just trying to get some type of clarity and closure. But then it was revealed by some family members and friends that during his funeral, she made all of them sign NDAs. And in those NDAs, they were not allowed to speak out on anything concerning him. Like, even his mom had to sign an NDA. And that's when people started to think, this is kind of shady. They were like, why does everyone in his family, like his whole family, have to sign NDAs? Like, what are you trying to hide? What is this about? Anyway, after she drops this interview and announces that she's going to be releasing like a memoir about her, life and, Twitch, his friends and family decide to basically air her out. One person in particular named Courtney had a whole thing to say. She took to her Instagram to basically air out Allison and said, "I was there the moment you both connected. I was there the day you got engaged. I stood by your side on your wedding day. I was in your home the day he died. I was by your side because your husband was my family. This is by far the most tacky, classless, opportunist act I've ever seen in my entire life. We all had to sign some weird NDA to attend his funeral, even his own mother, who you treated like garbage the entire time. And let's just remember, you wouldn't have even had a husband if it wasn't for her." Oof. And then ends it by accusing Allison of wanting to tarnish his name and not really thinking about how that might look for his children as they're getting older, and that why would she reveal what was in his journals to people, whether that was true or not. She felt like this was very private and did not need to be out there.
Finish getting ready with me while I talk about where I think Allison, Twitch's wife, went wrong in this interview. I know there are a lot of people who are upset that she gave the interview at all, but let me tell you how I would have suggested if she was gung-ho on giving an interview. The first thing is, I don't mind giving a face, especially a face as friendly as Twitch. I don't mind putting that face with especially to the world who felt like he was so warm and loving and friendly and personable. I think that can only bring good. In fact, it's like he struggled behind closed doors. He took this secret to his death. Let's be respectful of it, but let's say, like, it's okay. Everything wasn't perfect. I would not have gone to People magazine. They have a nickname called knee pads for a reason. I felt like that was the first mistake. The second thing is I would have required them to sign an NDA before I ever bothered to give them my stipulations. And those stipulations would have been: 1, a percentage of all the proceeds from your profits of this interview will go to addiction specialists or addiction research, whatever it is, wellness and counseling for dancers all over the world. Your choice. The second thing is I will have final say over every single caption, every single thing that's printed, every clip that you shorten, because you will not cherry pick clips to make this a salacious gossip story. You will not make this clickbait for my husband, especially if, again, we are dragging out his secrets that he took to his grave. This needs to be handled with the utmost respect. Next, I will have an expert, an addiction specialist, whatever it is, there in the interview with me, and you will highlight it accordingly. Because again, this is not just a gossip story. This is not just to hear about something, a juicy clip of talking about how my husband had issues.
Black women, I see y'all are beginning to get y'all pennies in a bunch behind Twitch's wife. Don't do it. Stand down, stand down, stand down. That has nothing to do with us. That man chose to marry that woman and procreate with her. His legacy, unfortunately, is not for us to try to preserve, because it's not nothing against Twitch. Because to be honest with you, I didn't even know who the fuck he was until he was on Ellen DeGeneres. Like, I didn't. I never watched Who You Think You Could Dance. I did not. But I'm just telling y'all, because I see y'all starting. Stand down, because that is not our business, okay?
Allison, the widow of the late Twitch, who took his own life, is now on a press tour to promote a book that she wrote, which includes his journal entries that he left behind, information about an alleged he had, a bunch of information that nobody asked her for and should have stayed where it was because it's going to tarnish his name and his legacy. What I have to say about this is right now, his family is coming out and saying a lot of, bad things about her. And it's all stuff that happened, while they were together, also happened right immediately after he passed away. My message to in-laws is y'all need to start calling people out during a relationship. Don't wait until your brother, your son, whoever is gone to start holding their spouse responsible for the bad things that you've seen them do to your person. Call them out. Do not wait until the person is dead and gone and for them to do something like this to try to call them out publicly. It's going to be too late. You have to call people out on their BS while they are still doing it so that they can stop.
In the eternal words of Alicia Keys, I won't tell your secrets. Your secrets are safe with me. That is, unless you're Twitch, because his widow, Allison Holker, has decided to tell the world what she's learned about Twitch since his passing, including but not limited to, he was touched as a child, use, and apparently she found his stash before his funeral. Now, Allison is making these revelations as part of a new People article to promote her upcoming memoir. Now, look, I understand that people process grief in a whole bunch of different ways, but from the outside looking in, Allison, this don't feel like healing. This does not feel like spreading awareness. This feels like promotion for your upcoming memoir, all right? Now, I ain't never been a wife. Wives, please feel free to get me together, but I would imagine your job is to be that man's lover, his secretary, his friend, and his confidant. And if your man worked so hard during his life to hide his personal struggles from the general public, the decent thing to do would be to honor his memory by protecting his privacy, even after his passing. Just because you know something doesn't mean you have to say something.
So Twitch's mother has now come out taking to her Instagram story talking about how appalled she is at the way her son is being portrayed in the media thanks to his wife, Allison Holker. 4 hours ago, she took to her Instagram story, and this is what it says. Our family is absolutely appalled by the misleading and hurtful claims made about my son, Stephen Boss. The recent publications spreading untruths about Stephen have crossed every line of decency. As his mother, I will not let these accusations go unanswered. We will not stand by while his name and legacy are tarnished. He doesn't deserve this, and the kids don't deserve this. For the last 2 years, I have remained quiet and away from the public eye to protect my family. My primary focus has been on healing and attempting to remain connected to my grandchildren. But when I read these dreadful claims about my baby, our beloved Stephen, I realized I could not stay silent any longer. Our family will ensure his name and memory are protected, and we are committed to defending his honor. Now, this is signed Connie Boss, his mother. Now, this comes after Allison Holker has been on a media tour talking about a new book that she will be releasing, where in this book, she will be sharing excerpts from Twitch's own journal. Now, she says she's doing this to help someone else who may be suffering, that maybe this will open up other people's eyes, and that all the proceeds from this book sale will go to a foundation that she created to help people who are suffering from mental health issues and addiction.
These are all people that I've grown up with. And to see them now act different for social media, it's like, I don't know. And I'm trying to be respectful, but I just think it's complicated because I speak to Steven's moms. Like my mom and her were speaking weekly at some point. And I don't know if it's still like that. Like me and my mom haven't talked about it. But since Steven died, I feel like I've seen his family more than when he was alive. We would only see them once or twice a year, but you guys have to understand that it's because they live in another state. And things happen. We literally live in another state, and it's not like we're neighbors. It's not like we could just see them whenever we wanted. And now, my mom's constantly making the effort so that the kids are a part of, or not the kids are a part of their, wait, I was about to mess up my words. So the kids are a part of their lives. And my mom's effort. I don't make the effort, but that's just how I am. I feel disrespected by them, so I'm not going to talk to them. There were points where, the brothers would reach out to me, like my uncles and Connie, they'd be texting me, but I don't talk to them anymore. I feel completely disrespected. They've gone on social media saying that blood's thicker than whatever, and that's a direct dig at me and my mom. And if you don't see me as Steven's daughter, that's cool. That's, take it how you want. That I know for a fact that's never how he saw it, and it's literally just hurtful. I'll love to argue about the NDAs. Basically, not backstory, because, that's what the whole story is, but in one day, we had an open casket, viewing for Steven. We had a funeral, and then we had a wake. And my mom asked for NDAs to be signed when we were seeing Steven's body, because God forbid somebody that went to that took a photo of Steven and put it on the internet, or shared it with somebody else. That's the type of things that NDAs are for. It's not so you can never talk about Steven. You can't ever talk about, you grieving him. You can't post about it. That's not what it is. And for all the people saying it, I just feel like you're uneducated. I'm sorry, but truly, I'm fed up because NDAs are so important. And if you guys don't agree, that's cool. I'm grateful for my mom making sure that everybody signed NDAs. That whole day was supposed to be beautiful, and instead it was less than that. We were gonna say our goodbyes, and instead people were yelling at each other and bashing my mom, and that's a day that's taken away from her, and she can't remember it as being the day that we all wanted it to be because his family was making it otherwise. And when I say that this day, it's imprinted onto my brain. One, because I had to say goodbye to the person that I loved and valued, but then on top of that, I'm having to deal with seeing my mom go through so much. It's a different type of hurt, because these are people that we're supposed to love and value, and yet they're constantly doing things that make me see them as less. They're the ones impacting that image, but they're also the ones taking it onto social media. So I just don't get it, because I don't know where it started, but I'm constantly getting comments being your mom didn't let Connie see the body for 3 weeks and something like that. But it's everybody who wanted to see the body had access to that information. My mom didn't want to. My mom, she stayed out of that. My mom didn't want anything to do, because that's a traumatizing thing. And so somebody else had that information to go and see Steven's body from after he died until he was they fixed up how he looked and stuff. But until that point, I remember conversations being had of Connie asking about it, but then everybody, literally everybody, being advising against it, because that's your son, you might not want to go see him. But with that all being said, she could have completely on her own terms gone and seen him. My mom wasn't withholding information. My mom never said that Steven was an addict. Let me say that. Never said that he was an addict. But if y'all want to take a headline for a news article and turn that into being the thing that you're paying attention to most, that's literally on you, right? But in our house, how he ran things, like, I'm his kid. He was trying to like teach me and educate, like, obviously, like, be that fatherly role, right? So he'd be open and vulnerable about him smoking weed. Also, my mom's not calling him a terrible person for smoking weed. Like, guys, let's get it together. But when you have 2 years after somebody committed suicide to sit here and question every interaction you had, every single thing they did.
Allison Holker has responded to the backlash that she has been receiving, and the backlash that is very well deserved. Stephen Boss, also known as Twitch, had passed away via suicide. And now, 3 years later, she has a memoir coming out. So what does she do to promote it? Go ahead and put her late husband on blast and talk about his drug. Not only are fans irate, but so are her friends, his family. I don't blame them. Before we get to her response, let's talk about what the friends and family had to say. Part of her press tour for her upcoming memoir was doing a People magazine cover and interview, where she exposed her late husband's drug addiction. Courtney Ann Platt, who is a friend to Allison and Twitch, publicly criticized Allison for alleging she discovered a stash of Twitch's shoeboxes before his funeral. Courtney had made this post on IG, and she had a lot to say. And she said, "I was there the moment you both connected. I was there the day you got engaged. I stood by your side on your wedding day. I was in your home the day he died. This is by far the most tacky, classless, opportunistic act I have ever seen in my entire life. We all had to sign some weird NDA to attend his funeral. Even his own mother, who you've treated like garbage this entire time. And let's just remember, you wouldn't even have had a husband if it wasn't for her." And Courtney says that they signed this NDA because she did not want them to share anything or ruin his name, as if that was on anyone's mind, she said. Here you go and write a book with all the dirty laundry smearing his name and attempting to dim his bright, loyal, loving light that was your husband, my friend. Whether any of it is true or not, it is actually beside the point. This is how you protect the boss name you so quickly dropped on your social media platforms 48 hours after he passed. This is how you protect his children. This is what you want them to remember about him. You have moved on. You're living your life. You're in every carpet you can get on, every celebrity row you can sit, every magazine you can be in, and you needed to do this. Get a journal, get a therapist, but publishing a book shamelessly sharing the pages of your husband's journal, People magazine, what a joke. So much respect for Courtney, because even though Allison was her friend, she put her in her place. Twitch's sister, Comfort, also spoke out and supported Courtney's post. And she said, "Lies and fairy tales. Steven said this to me in my dreams when he passed. Nothing is what it seems. Courtney, I'm behind you. I'm done with this girl. You are an evil woman and completely disgusting." Comfort also made this post: "If you truly loved your late husband, Steven, even if there were challenges with his family, basic decency and compassion would compel you to show respect, especially if you claim he was fighting an addiction you didn't even know about while he was alive. Wouldn't love call for concern and communication with his family rather than airing it all out in the magazine? What's the real motive here? Awareness or attention? Steven isn't here to defend himself, yet his name continues to be dragged through the mud. Love doesn't look like this, but manipulation and marketing for personal gain does." As Courtney said, and I'll echo, stick to your own demons. After all this backlash, Allison is still defending herself. She posted this to her story today, saying, "To fans of Steven and our family and friends, I want to be clear that my only intention in writing the book is to share my own story as well as part of my life with Steven to help other people. Just like you, I never really knew what happened, and even as I am trying to put the pieces together, I will never really know. If you decide to read the book, hopefully you'll see my intention is to celebrate the love and life I shared with Steven and our 3 beautiful children, and also the more complex aspects of both of our lives. I hope that by sharing our full story, maybe I can help someone also who might see themselves or a loved one in Steven. And sharing, I hope that maybe they can catch some of the red flags that I missed before it's too late. All my proceeds from this book are going to fund the mental health focused foundation I started in Steven's honor. I believe that if Steven were able to choose, he would choose to have his story told if it meant saving even one life. There is no defending this in my eyes. To drag your husband's name 3 years after his death, this is what your children will see. when they're looking on the internet, looking up their father. You do not care to protect his legacy, protect his name, protect your children. All you care about is making money. And I am so disgusted.
So Allison Holker is coming out with a book about her relationship and life with Twitch. And she's getting a lot of feedback or pushback saying that she's tarnishing his life by speaking about his and mental health. Now, I do understand that part of the reason is because she's said she's releasing part of his journals, which I don't necessarily agree with. But I feel like saying that you're tarnishing somebody's life by speaking about their drug or their mental health issues is kind of the reason why people don't come out and talk about their issues while they're alive. I was reading that one of his cousins said, oh, well, he wasn't some junkie. And that is like problematic. Like why saying, hey, this man who ended up unaliving himself was struggling with addiction and mental health issues. Why is that tarnishing his life? He still was a great man. He still was entertaining. He still loved his family, but now we're tarnishing his life by speaking about his struggles and saying, oh, well, he wasn't a junkie. Like, okay. We're not saying that, she's not saying that's all he was. I haven't read her book's not out, so we have no idea what she said, but that's why people don't talk about their issues. That's why if he was dealing with, he hid it from his wife because he didn't want to be seen as just a junkie. And I think you can be upset that she's writing the book, but like, let's not put down people struggling with it. He still can be more than an addict, more than a junkie.
Friend, pick up the phone. Good morning. I am sitting in front of a pile of laundry that I'm going to put a timer on and try to attack in 15 minutes. That is me speaking from the perspective of ADHD, okay? Wish me luck. However, before I do that, because there's always something to do before that, I want to talk briefly about Twitch, the Twitch situation, as well as his wife who made the realization to present the article for people. If you haven't read it, take some time out to read it. I have a couple of observations. I just want to skate back to say that Twitch's cousin, who signed an NDA, because Allison made the entire family and everyone in their circle sign NDAs prior to the funeral, maybe around that time or post his death. She said she didn't care about the NDA, but apparently Allison has kept the kids away from them, has made it very difficult for them to kind of be around the kids or see the kids and things like that, and that she buffed up the story to make it seem plausible and beneficial for her. Allison also said that he had a problem, and I was like, oh no. And when she said marijuana, I was like, and I mean, people can be addicted to marijuana. Don't get it twisted. Like, there could be a severe addiction to marijuana, but the way that the article was presented, that first image, he struggled with addiction and use, and I was just like, oh no. And then you go in and you realize that, not saying that it's not a lot, because alcoholism and use can be an addiction. I just I don't know. The reality is that Twitch is not here to tell his story. He's not here to talk about the pain, and he's not here to talk about what he was going through. So for her to choose this way to carry on his legacy and talk about it, it's not sitting well with me. His children will have that imprint on the internet for their entire lives, right? I was expecting her article to be about how she's processing her grief, how she's moving on, with his legacy. And that's not what it was.
My first follow on TikTok was Steven Twitch Boss. That man and his dancing and him and his wife dancing got me through the first part of the pandemic. I used to imitate their dances and send them to the students at my school as a part of a program that we had put together to keep students engaged during distance learning. And I remember when he passed, and I don't usually cry when celebrities pass, but I cried that day. And I remember the collective of people online, and very specifically Black folks, came together and we were like, Allison, we got you. We got your back, girl. You're going to get through this. And I remember when she started coming outside more often, I said to my sister, like, yo, she's gonna pop back out with the white man. And jokingly, like, cause she gonna be like, I ain't gonna deal with one of these again. And when she popped out with the white guy, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then I saw this headline and I was like, oh, you've fully gone white on this. Because the idea of getting out there and talking about the supposed of your deceased husband is a lack of cultural competency I can't even wrap my head around. I understand people have to grieve how they grieve, but why tarnish that man's reputation? Because, let's remember, when you're white and you die of an you are sick. When you're black, it's because you're an addict. So I was already bad about this and I was taking it from a racial perspective. Then I saw that Twitch's family also felt a way about the way this went down. That Twitch's family, the black side, has been basically shut out, forced to sign NDAs just to go to the funeral and not allowed to see the kids. Those black children that she had with him? And this is why it's really important to remember that even if you are a white person in a relationship with a black person, it does not absolve you of the fact that you've been trained and conditioned into white supremacy, and given the chance, oftentimes you will revert back to it. And I'm saying this in the context of being a black person in relationship with a white person who I would check in this situation. And who honestly, at times, I just test just to see if she understands the impact of being black on certain situations that'll happen. And that's just the price of admission. You don't just get to be with me and not experience what it feels like to have to live in this world black. Like, that's what it is. And so I think the reality of what's happening, there's absolutely a racial component. And there's a part of it that's just frustrating because our memory of him collectively is of this happy man who ended up losing his battle to his inner demons.
So I want to talk about Twitch and his wife, Allison, his widow, and everyone that is coming from her from all angles right now about this memoir she wrote and the interview where she's talking about what she found in the shoe boxes in the closet. And I read his mother's statement that she put out. I understand some people feel the same way as the mom. Let me explain something. If I was her, and this was my husband, the father of my children, and this was my grief journey and my children's grief journey, one, for the people that are saying she's doing it for a check, if you think I'm about to share intimate details of my grief journey and what we're going through, and I'm foolish enough to do it for free, you bumped your damn head. If this woman wants to get a check and write a book and make money from the book she wrote, good for her. Because she's the one that has children that she has to raise by herself. We're not paying for these kids. We're not providing clothing and food and paying medical bills and taking care of their schooling and all of that. If God forbid one of her kids gets sick, who's paying those medical costs? She is. And she doesn't have a partner to do it with her anymore. His mom isn't paying those medical bills. His family and friends aren't stepping in and doing it. She's doing it by herself. She should absolutely get paid. On top of that, nobody knows that man better than she does. His mother knows him on a very different level than his wife. But when I tell you, if you're married, you understand what I'm saying. Especially if you've been married for any kind of amount of time and you have children with someone. Any wife or husband that sits here and says that their mother or father-in-law knows their spouse better than they do is lying. That woman has always talked about Twitch and looked at him and spoke about him out of love and admiration. Why on earth would that woman lie? That man was battling a minute-by-minute mental health battle. Is it really that far-fetched to believe that he didn't seek out other avenues to help alleviate the pain he was dealing with from battling that? He moved in secretive ways. He kept secrets from his mother, his friends, his family, his wife, his children. Just look at the circumstances and how he moved the last 24, 48, 72 hours before he took his own life. And I say that respectfully. How often do we hear about people passing away, and it's after they pass away, you find out all these secrets. They had a mistress, they had other kids, they had other families, they had all this gambling debt, they had addictions, they had all these things you find out after they've passed away.
Is it that far-fetched? You have people saying she shouldn't be putting this out there for the world to know about. She and Twitch talked about on several occasions how when they came out talking about things and shared things with the world, it was in a way to help people. I do not in any way, shape, or form think it's fair for anybody to turn around and tell this woman what she should or should not be sharing when she was the one that was in that closet and opened up those shoe boxes. I understand not everybody's going to agree with my point of view, and I know this is a long video, but I feel like it was important to talk about because there's so many moving parts in just this one topic.
What triggered all this recent mess with Stephen Boss, aka Twitch, his wife recently, and his family? If you don't know who Twitch is, he's a dancer and choreographer. I became familiar with him on, was it Step It Up 3, the movie? And then I also know he hosted some dance show. I can't remember the name of it right now. And then also he was really popular on Ellen. And his social media, he was always dancing on social media with him, his family. I think his wife too. But, you know, I can't remember what year it was, but he took his own life a couple years ago. But currently, I'm seeing all this mess between his wife, calling him a drug addict, and his family telling her that's not true, and she's trying to get the family to sign NDAs and all that. I don't know. But what I came on here to really say is that someone taking their own life, it puts in perspective, because I've had two happen close to me. And I understand the absolute confusion it causes everybody, because you'll never get confirmation of why. You can assume, you can say they were going through something, no matter, even if they tell you things, you just don't know the exact reason unless they call you right before they're doing it, or they write a letter saying this is why. So with that confusion comes a lot of drama, because people make up their own scenarios of how they can rationalize why this happened. It's a lot of blame. Of course, it's a lot of grief. It's a lot of misunderstanding. And although, unless something is chemically, mentally wrong with me, I would never do that. But it definitely makes me want to start journaling or understand the importance of it, so that if something like that did happen, Lord forbid, it would minimize the confusion and the misunderstanding as much as possible. And I think that's something we all could learn from situations like this. And at bare minimum, we can already start preparing our wills. I know that's dark. Nobody wants to think about that. But in your will, you can also state how you feel about certain things, and keep the people who are living on in your name, you know, they can be at peace knowing what exactly was on your mind before you dip up out of here. But I'm just going to pray for that family, wish the best for that family, and I hope they get through this, because, Lord, those kids, you know, they don't deserve to see all this going on. So just pray for all those involved.
The thing with the Allison Holker drama is that, unfortunately, a good message got lost in the attempt to sell a book. It's a good message. Don't suffer in silence. If you are going through something, reach out to the people closest to you. We want you here, right? That's a good message that we can get behind. Even, you know, looking out for red flags that she might have missed. That messaging gets overshadowed when you cross a line in talking about private journal entries, not of your journal, of somebody else's journal who is no longer here to say, yeah, go ahead and share that with the world. Whether or not she did or did not find something in the closet, it was not her place to share those details about him. Because I actually think you can still get the same point across without sharing those details. She still has a story to tell. And I know that that's the thing. She says, I want to tell my story, our story. Well, that's his story. Part of that is his story. And that doesn't automatically make it your story just because you were married to him. And now it's just an avalanche of backlash and of his family and his friends. And it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to sell the book?
I listened to Twitch that passed away, the guy who used to be on Ellen, who was Ellen's DJ. He used to dance a lot. I listened to his wife in an interview talking about all the things she found. Listen, if my husband passed away, God forbid, you all will never, and when I say you all, his family, my family, will never know if there's anything that, you know what I mean, was a little bit confusing, disturbing, anything at all to me. You all will never know about it. I would hide that shit. I would take that shit and throw it away so fast that none of you all gonna see it or find it. That's between me and my husband.
Everyone has not earned the right to your power, your peace, or your pain. You should not feel obligated to share every detail, every secret of your life. You should not feel obliged to make sure everyone knows every single detail. Otherwise, you are unauthentic. This idea of oversharing at your own expense, oversharing at the expense of others, it's not necessary. Now, whether you agree with Allison, the former wife of Twitch, who lived a life that we all enjoyed online. We had no idea of the demons in which he had. We had no idea of the secrets in which he kept. And within her recent book, has now shared these secrets with all of us. These things, frankly, are none of my business. And I think that the lesson in this for all of us is that just because we don't share everything doesn't mean that we aren't being truthful, that we're being unauthentic. There is certain things within our lives that we should pride ourselves on keeping private. The majority of people have not earned our power, our peace, or our pain. And certain things, even if we have access to the World Wide Web, to social media, even if we have the ability to scream from the rooftops, sometimes we shouldn't. Sometimes we should keep our power, our peace, and our pain to ourselves. And to those that see and hear us clearly, to those that are in our tight-knit group. For those of you that are challenged with, ooh, should I tell the world this? Ooh, does everybody deserve this part of me? The answer is no. And there's a balance between this. And within media literacy and the way in which social media, content creators, influencers have to navigate this world and this space, there is this obligation to tell everyone everything. And I don't think it is necessary. I don't think everyone has earned the right to your power, your peace, or your pain. There are people closest to us who have not earned the right to our power, our peace, or our pain. So to share that with a mass group of people could be dangerous.
Now, I had no clue that me thinking Allison Holker can talk about her grief and pain however she likes would be a controversial hot take, but apparently it is according to this app, and I want to discuss it for a second. There's this concept that as soon as somebody passes, we can never say anything negative about them, and that concept is really like leveled up when it comes to famous people. They become these like perfect, glorified icons, and that's just not the case. Twitch did very human things. He had secrets, and those secrets caused his wife even more pain. It exacerbated the pain that she was already experiencing from him unaliving himself, and that's a normal human response. She can do with that pain whatever she wants, because in his absence, that story is hers and hers alone. She is left to process the story. She is left to grieve, and she can do that in a book, by doing nothing, on Instagram, however she wants. Everyone is entitled to their own story. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is.
Now, when I first came across the news that Allison was talking about Twitch's death, and she talked about some things that she discovered before his funeral, I don't know. My initial, and this is my honest truth, my initial thought was, do we need to know about this? This is something you discuss with your therapist. Honestly, that was my thought. And I was just like, I'm not going to like follow up with this. But then I started seeing tweets and reaction from his family members saying that they even signed a non-disclosure agreement at his funeral. Even the mother, his mother, signed it, that she didn't want even some people to attend, and she made them say they are not going to talk about him in a negative way. And then boom, you are doing that. Another part that made me go, this is not it, was the fact that allegedly she is printing out some of the things that was in his journal, that the journal that she never knew about. Why are you going? I'm already angry. I'm already angry. I'm not supposed to be angry. Why is she feeling the need to print out some of the things in his journal? That journal is for her and her children, his children. I don't think her publishing it in her book is a good thing. Now, she's saying that she's doing all this to create awareness about mental health in men and addiction and the rest. Personally, I'm someone that is very vocal about mental health and talking about mental health issues and everybody taking care of their mental health based on my own background and based on my mom's issues with mental health. So I'm not one that will say that she should not talk about it. I am as loud as I can about creating awareness about mental health and advocacy for people not to treat people who have mental health issues in a particular kind of way, because mental health issues for people still holds a stigma, especially in Africa and Nigeria. So me, I am very vocal about it. So I'm not going to be saying that no, she should not talk about the mental health. I applaud her for talking about mental health and trying to advocate for men to take care of their mental health and not just think that they are men, so they should not talk about it or anything and hide it from your family, and not take care of their mental health or seek help when they need. I would be the last person to say that she should not do that. But I find it just weird that you want to publish some part of, allegedly, some part of what is in his journal. Are we sure that that's what is in his journal? Oh no. I'm not doubting her, but I'm doubting her, because how are we sure that that's what is in his journal? How are we sure that she's not trying to use it to make money or something? I really don't know. Because she said that all proceeds from the sale of the book is going to a foundation that she founded in honor of Tweet, that advocates for mental health issues in the society and the rest. And I have a problem with that. Because ever since I found out that some rich people use charity organization, foundation as a way to siphon money, we say money laundering, or to get a tax break, or to have like a personal purse that they would not reveal to the IRS or whatever. I've been looking at a lot of the celebrities that have foundation and charity organization with the side eye, because I don't know if they're doing it with good intention or they're using it for tax break or where to get money that they can have access to that is not going to come up in their income or something. So when she said that all proceeds is going to the foundation that she founded, I was like, because with all the backlash, she cannot say the money is going to her. So she's saying with the foundation, and I'm like, I really don't know. The foundation that you created, that you will be the founder, and with the recent news of Naomi Campbell being accused of taking money from her foundation and the rest, it just makes me give her the side eye, because we don't know if she's actually going to use the money for the intention that she created the foundation for, which is to advocate for mental health, especially in men. But it's just, it's skeptical to me. So I don't know. And then hearing the family say that they had to sign NDA at the funeral, even his mother also saying that they have not had access or seen his kids since he died, is just giving me weird vibes. And I don't know if there's any correlation, but the fact that she's doing this after she just soft launched and had launched her boyfriend, which people are saying, oh, she's dating a white guy after a black man. I don't know about that one. But the fact that this is coming up after she just had launched her boyfriend, or after she just entered a new relationship is just giving me weird vibes. Now there might be no correlation with the fact that she has a new relationship and this, but it's just timing. I think that's the word. Timing. Everything is just a particular kind of way for me, and I'm just like, I don't know if this is the right way to honor his legacy, if this is the right way to create awareness about mental health, because there are some things that you don't say in public. There's some things that you don't try to profit off. Talking about, some people say that is a story to say. I would not say is not, but I don't know, maybe there are better ways that she could have used to share a story and also create advocacy for mental health in men. But this whole situation just gives me weird vibes, and the backlash is a lot from all sides. So I don't know how she's going to recover from this, because it's just saddening. That's the word now. It's just saddening that this is happening. Anyway, that's my thought about this whole situation. I would love to hear your own thoughts about this whole situation. Do you think that Allison is doing anything wrong by sharing what she found out after Twitch's death, and also sharing part of his journal that he didn't want anybody to know about? Or do you think that she's not doing anything wrong? Do you think the backlash is a bit too much and people should give her grace, because this is a story to tell? I would love to hear what you think about this whole situation. So please leave your comment in the comment section so that we can get this discussion popping. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed and you like videos such as this, please consider subscribing by clicking on the red button that says subscribe, and don't forget to click on the bell notification icon by the side so that you're notified anytime I upload videos. Now, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.